Pastor Josh Lell from the Valdese First Baptist Church will be doing our invocation. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor.
Appreciate you.
As many of us know, as most of us know, and all of us know, tomorrow is a special day in our nation. And I wanted to read something that has circulated on social media for the last couple of days as a benediction prior to election days. This is written by an Episcopal bishop in the United States. Let us pray. When others hate, may we love. When others curse, may we bless. When others hurt, may we heal. When others divide, may we unite. When others rage, may we calm. When others deny, may we affirm. God, strengthen us to carry on with your work and faithfully live into who you have created us to be. Let us love the stranger, love the enemy, and love our neighbor. Amen.
Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, council, moving down to item 4, I trust all of you found your reading material and communications notes informative. We'll move to item 5, the open forum. And before we have those that are signed up to speak, I have a special honor of reading a resolution of appreciation for Mr. Larry Johnson. And I added some of my own words to it.
Allow me to add a few too. What last time?
Larry's been here 45 years, and 44 of those I spent with him. So, okay, resolution of appreciation for Larry Johnson. Whereas Larry Johnson began his career with the town of Valdese on May 16, 1979, retiring after 32 years of service on May 21, 2011, but returned part-time shortly after, demonstrating a deep commitment to the town. And whereas over the past 45 years, Larry Johnson's leadership and expertise have greatly benefited Valdese, shaping its growth and enhancing residents' quality of life. And whereas Larry Johnson has exemplified professionalism in managing the planning and zoning needs of the community, balancing growth with preservation, and fostering a collaborative approach to sustainable development that has contributed to the economic, environmental, and social well-being of Valdese. And whereas Larry Johnson has been pivotal in transformative projects, including affordable housing initiatives, new subdivisions, sidewalk infrastructure, and the relocation of Town Hall, as well as establishing Citizens for Affordable Housing, which provided new homes for low and moderate income first-time homebuyers. And whereas Larry Johnson's impact extends beyond Valdese through his service on numerous boards and committees, including the Planning Board, Board of Adjustments, Western North Carolina Railroad, Animal Control Appellate Board, Street Paving Panel, and Burke United Christian Ministries. Additionally, he was a committed member of the Burke County Affordable Housing Task Force, Burke Hospice and Palliative Care Board, and he served as Vice Chair of the UNC Health Quality and Patient Safety Committee, making a difference across the community. And whereas throughout his career, Larry Johnson has built countless meaningful relationships with both citizens and colleagues, leaving behind a legacy of wisdom, thoughtful guidance, and memorable expressions, such as well-known phrases.
Can't be repeated. Can't be repeated.
Oh, I'm going to read them. Be comfortable with your uncomfortableness. One of my favorites, word on the street. It would behoove you. I heard that many times. And his use of insightful terms like privy and cognizant, and consistently emphasized the 4 C's: Christ, compromise, commitment, and communication. At the end of each day, he always offered his signature reassurance. Call me if you need anything, and give my regards. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the town of Valdese expresses its heartfelt appreciation to Larry Johnson for his years of outstanding service, commitment, contributions as planning director, and extends best wishes for his future endeavors. And be it further resolved that the town council of the town of Valdese, North Carolina, hereby expresses its sincere appreciation and gratitude to Larry Johnson for his service and leadership to the town of Valdese during the past 45 years, and extended congratulations and best wishes upon his second retirement. Adopted this 4th day of November 2024. Larry asked for a moment.
Yeah,
to
Miss-
say a few- let me finish.
Okay.
Larry asked for a moment to say a few words and to thank folks, but you all know as well as I do, Larry's moments tend to be a lot longer than most folks.
One second. It would be remiss if I did not make a few remarks before my departure. Mr. Mayor, council, one thing we know for sure is that council meetings will be much shorter now because of my previous presentations. But I do want to take an opportunity to thank this council, along with previous councils, for my opportunity to work with the councils in this town. A little bit of housekeeping business. The UDO. You know, I came to you consistently over the past 4 or 5 months on that Unified Development Ordinance. I apologize. I'm leaving before it can be completed. But please lean on legal counsel, Tim Swanson, the part-time planner that's coming in, as well as Ben Hitchens to complete that. I would love to see the paper report in a few months, the adoption of the UDO, and also the completion of the rezoning of Main Street. So again, but I do apologize profusely. What I do want to do is, again, thank council for the 45 and almost 45 and a half years with the town of Valdese. It's been a journey, it really has, but the journey was only possible because of these people here, the citizens of the town of Valdese that I love so dearly. I'm reminded of a quote. It's by Winston Churchill. Actually, it's one of my favorite. If not, it is my favorite. Winston Churchill says, "You make a living by what you get, but you make a life by what you give." And when you think about that, I have given since age 25, when I came to the town of Valdese, that I had to find directions to, get directions from Hickory. And boy, what a life I've had here. It has been remarkable life. And that is what has kept me here, is the town and the citizens, and allowing me or affording me the opportunity to perform and to service their needs. My 45 years with the town of Valdese has been more than a job. It's about the people here, the people in this room, the people on YouTube or Facebook. It's about the citizens of the Valdese, because I always took my job as if I represented them all. A saying that you did miss is that I represent the population. So what I tried to do in representing the population, I tried to be responsive to their needs. I tried to be caring in my approach in dealing with their needs. I tried to be supportive. I tried to be an advocate for anyone that maybe was even disenfranchised with public policy and positions. They would call me, I would see what I can do to help out. Often told to stay in my lane, but I would do it as an. I tried to be an advocate, and I also tried to be fair and consistent. But what I got in 45 and a half years cannot be measured. I could not have fathomed in my life at age 70 that I could have gotten so much from this small town in western North Carolina. Because what I got back was love. I got mentoring during the early years. I got support, and I got encouragement. And more importantly, I got a Valdese family right here. This Valdese family I will take with me. I also take with me some of the special things about it. Poolside chats, and also brownies and milk during the holidays. Those couple of things from families also provided. But as the case, sometimes you have to love something enough to let it go. And so I love this job so much, it is time to let it go. But one thing I will tell you, I'll let go of the job, but I will never, ever let go of the love for this town and its citizens. Thank you for the resolution. Thank you for the opportunity to serve. Thank you.
Mayor, may we comment?
Go ahead.
Thank you very much. That was very gracious, as we've come to learn Larry Johnson is. You've been a great role model, I think, for other staff members and the way you conduct yourself in public and in dealing with the council. That was wonderful. Thank you. That you didn't disappoint us, as the mayor said. It would be more than a couple words, but they were great. Thank you. Thank you very much for your service and for this evening.
We're going to miss the extensive knowledge that you have about the town of Valdese, Larry. That will not be replaced. And also your sense of humor and that smile that we always see when you walk in the door will be greatly missed.
I thank you for your encouraging words and always being there. You always make me, it's a sense of humor. It makes me laugh. I said, I don't have anybody to crack the weird jokes to anymore. I don't want to, one of y'all is going to have to step up because I'm not going to have Larry anymore. But I thank you for what you've done. I thank you that you have been someone who has represented everyone. I've never known you to show any partiality to anybody. You've always, did what was right for the town. I appreciate that very much.
I'll miss you, my friend. We opened both doors so you could get your head out. I had to take the last shot.
I am going to pack my 2 boxes for 45 years. But God bless you all.
You'll be missed. Okay. Council, moving on to open forum. Our first speaker for the night is Mr. Brady Linkus. And if you would, please state your name and your address.
Sure, I'm Brady Linkus, 301 St. Germain Avenue, Southeast in Valdese. I've lived in Valdese for 42 years, and until 2024, I've never felt a need to stand at this podium and address the council with my concerns. That's not to be interpreted as apathy toward our town's operation or its government. Karen and I have been active in many ways over these years and are thankful for the opportunities that we have had to serve, and I'm especially thankful for these precious 5 minutes to share some thoughts. It's been apparent that our town has been under the control of Councilman Harvey for most of the last 11 months. He has had very few successful challenges to his initiatives. He ran with 2 other members who support him nearly 100% of the time. And despite having that kind of control over voting, we find ourselves facing the same challenges as a year ago. In fact, I would argue that in many ways we're actually further behind. His authority is unchecked. He has a thirst for power, and he has zero respect for others. Here's some examples. Councilman Harvey has known about our municipal building problems for many, many years. He has been a rabid critic of previous council's ideas and has presented himself as the one guy who can fix it. He has written previous town officials literally hundreds of emails about the problem. It's not like he didn't know what was coming. Yet we sit here a year later and no one, including Glenn Harvey, knows what the plan is. There is absolutely no excuse for that. Valdese governs itself using the council town manager form of government. When Glenn Harvey took office, there was an opening for our manager position, and he declared to all of us that filling it was the single most important task for the new council. He assured us that he alone knew how to go about it, first delaying the search until he was ready, then advocating for a higher price search firm that he chose. The results, lots of applications. However, when I asked about the search recently, he simply said that many of the applicants withdrew and the one offer we made was declined. Why on earth would an applicant who had been through the process get to the end and decline to come to this beautiful place? The salary is good, the location is stellar. Why decline it? And now the topic appears to be tabled. Morale is low among our employees. Our department managers are publicly criticized, even ridiculed by Councilman Harvey. They have reported to 4 different town managers in a year and have listened to his constant babble about wanting to sell off pieces of heavy equipment. Try to imagine how different our response to Hurricane Helene would have been if Glenn Harvey had auctioned off some of the heavy equipment that was needed to clear our roads so that power could be restored. On 2 occasions, in moments of self-importance, Councilman Harvey has used his bully pulpit to publicly criticize our police department, attempting to erode public confidence in our officers. It's inexcusable. And now he would now like to limit staff comments during council meetings. Valdese deserves better treatment. Later this evening, it is likely that Glenn Harvey will attempt once again to seat his choice for Ward 2 to replace Roger Hefner. I think Mr. Hefner was an excellent choice to join this council. But again, Glenn Harvey should not be the single authority on who represents Ward 2. He would have had you believe that allowing citizens to express an interest, apply, and be vetted by all council is a bad idea. He will try to convince you that you don't need to hear from the people you represent on this matter. Taking applications, getting feedback from your ward, and effectively and openly discussing nominations are not mutually exclusive. You can insist that you have time to invite others to apply. Glenn Harvey is wrong, and he is only as powerful as you allow him to be. This is a man who disrespected you enough to say that each of you, were feeding on the memories of this town, and I've cleaned it up a little bit for him. I'm asking you to please stand up to his antics. We all have legacies that we leave behind, and I'm hoping that you will create your own with your own initiatives. I see and hear your heart when you speak about the homeless or about our town's recreation opportunities. Valdese desperately needs quality leaders that are working for the public good, and it's time to assert yourself and correct course. And I want to add one more remark in my 4 seconds. Holding you accountable is not hate. It's not hate.
Time's up, Mr. Linkus. Thank you. Okay, Miss Nancy Tucker. You may have to pull the mic in a little bit. Thank you.
How's that? Can you hear me? Right. I'm Nancy Tucker. I live at 210 Forest Drive Northeast in Valdese. And yep, I'm here again. And I'm here again to talk about the Valdese Recreation Swimming Pool and the need for the permanent building to ensure access to year-round swimming. The Recreation Center is doing everything possible to keep us swimming right now. There are blankets that are placed over the water every evening to help keep the water warm. And those blankets are taken off the water every morning if it's 40 degrees or above. And if not, they'll take the blankets off in the afternoon when the temperature rises. We've been very fortunate with the warm weather lately, so that many swimmers many swimmers continue to show up and are enjoying the 80-degree water. Even the high school swim teams are still practicing in Valdese, and they are over there this evening. This is even more important for our pool because there are starting blocks for the swimmers to take off and practice their starts. This is something that's not offered at the other county pools. Swimming outdoors in November in Valdese is only possible because of this nice weather and the hard work of the Valdese Rec staff. So I want to thank them for their dedication, and they are doing an amazing job. You may only want to hear from Valdese residents about the desire for the permanent pool building, but there are many non-residents that use that pool. These people bring in extra revenue with their recreation memberships, the pool parties, and they do spend money in town when they come here. So the availability of year-round swimming is important to our area, the youth and adults, and more than just our town. The bids for the construction of this pool building will be in soon, if not by next week. And I hope you all council members, are ready to take a positive action and move forward and get this permanent pool structure approved. The Valdese Town Council, I realize, has many important issues on the agenda. But by next month, you have a chance to get this one project started and off your agendas and get some positive news coming out of the Valdese Town Council. And I encourage you to be more like Larry Johnson and be responsive to the needs of the people. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Cole, ma'am. And you'll have to pull the mic down, please.
I know, I haven't gotten any taller. Sorry about that. Could give me a little foot.
We have the same challenge.
Now better? Okay. My name is Jean Marie Cole. I live at 705 Burtis Street in Valdese. Tonight I wanted to make a few remarks regarding replacing council members midterm. Recent events surrounding the replacing of Paul Mears' seat on the council uncovered some issues that previously were unknown. The intention was to fill the position quickly as there were many projects in the works. The desire was to give citizens of all wards representation in the decisions that were lay ahead. However, the method used backfired, and now it will end up taking a longer time to fill that position. What happened? One, citizens from the ward felt they had no input on who would represent them. Two, citizens in general felt that the appointment was, quote, backdoor room politics, unquote, with much going on in secret. Three, council lost what appears to have been a very capable person to fill that position. What could we do now? One, allow residents of the ward who are interested in the position to send resumes to the council. There would need to be a short window, no more than 2 weeks from tonight. Two, council would then have another 2 weeks to review and discuss the candidates. Three, council could be prepared to appoint a person at the December meeting. That person could be sworn in as soon as possible. Don't know the rules on that. And that person could be up to date on all upcoming projects for action at the January meeting. It would be advisable for all candidates to attend or watch the December meeting, so they would all be informed, not knowing which one of them might be the chosen one during that meeting. Four, council could look over how to replace members and make the process they determine necessary public knowledge so there isn't a repeat of history. Thank you.
Thank you. Jim Jackman.
Mayor, council, our guests here tonight. I want to tell you about a
Sir, if
local
you would,
veteran,
please state your name and address, please.
Jim Jackman.
Your address.
I want to tell you about a local veteran.
Mr. Jackman, you have to state your address. That's the rule, sir.
I-
State your address.
3690 Middlebridge Road, Conley Springs,
Thank
North
you.
Carolina.
Thank you.
I want to tell you about a local veteran who fought to make sure war never happens here. When Red Gibson moved into our community, immediately caused a stir. He homesteaded and later bought a small strip of property between Highway 70 and the railroad in Akron. His home started out as a woodpile and a pup tent. Over the years, he would move into an old school bus, later an old house trailer. Then a family in the community gave him a Winnebago. His girls and the neighbors put his first water and electricity in the Winnebago. Smiling, he told his girls, "I'm really living now, ain't I? I'm living like a king." But Red was different in another way, a patriotic way. He wouldn't wear anything that wasn't military. He cherished being a soldier. Ironically, it was the hell of war, the nightmares, night after night, which cost him his family. Red wore his uniform and walked everywhere he went. Each day at the same time, he would march carrying an American flag on a pole to the overhead bridge in Akron, where he would stand guard and then return. Initially, kids and adults laughed at him and saluted him in jest. Red kept carrying the flag to the overhead bridge. Not a short period of time, but week after week, month after month, and year after year. Red never changed, but the people watching him did. No more laughing. Now there was a reverence when he passed with the flag on his way to the bridge. Young men and their fathers stood at attention. You could see their shirts bulged with pride. They knew a man who had been through the hell of war and was still struggling with how to let it go was passing before them. Everyone in the community had adopted Red by now. Some said Red was a simple man, but he was far from simple. He called our soldiers his boys and said he prayed for his boys every night. Red Gibson had changed the entire community. After 9/11, some community sawmill men came into the only restaurant in the town and announced, "We're going to stand and pray and have the Pledge of Allegiance, and anyone who don't like it can leave." On February the 5th, 2004, two young punks and their girlfriend broke in on Red, robbed him for drug money, and brutally beat him to death. Two daughters had lost a loving father. The whole end of the county had lost their hero, and America had lost a true patriot. At his funeral, the church he had never been in, but passed by every day with his flag, was full, with people standing outside in the rain. Red was such a special veteran. He deserved so much more than he got. He had the right to at least die on his own terms in God's own time. But you know, life can be less than a ripple or more than a splash, depending really on just a few things. Up near the surface is what we spend our life doing, but down deep, what really counts is who we spend it with. And finally, the who's and the what's depend mainly on the why's. Why we really exist can best be explained by a simple four-letter word, G-I-V-E. You see, you can give without loving, but you can't love without giving. This love by our soldiers gave us one nation under God. It's our responsibility to protect their gift for future generations. If we listen carefully, there are hundreds of thousands of White Cross graves speaking to us tonight. Valdese, have you forgotten already? We gave our lives for you. Will you always remember our day, July the 4th? For every action we take, there are two consequences, one on earth and one in heaven. Let's consider seriously what we're about to do tonight when we talk about changing the date of July the 4th. There's many folks that gave their life for that date. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda Eckerd. You may have to adjust the microphone, ma'am, please.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I lived at 409 Palmer Avenue Southwest here in Valdese until the storm came through. I lost my home during the hurricane when a big tree crashed through my house and the rafter fell to the floor in front of me. I was not hurt and I was blessed to be safe. I had to seek housing 20 miles away from Valdese. I will rebuild in Valdese. This is where my heart is. Even though I could build anywhere else or buy another home, I don't want to do that. That is not my choice. We have the best police department, fire department, and public works in this region. Sometimes you just don't know what really means and is important to you till you have lost it. I lost my home in a moment's notice. It was gone. Let's keep this the best little town in Valdese. In North Carolina, moving forward, make people want to move here and work here and live. And this is very dear to me, is I would like to see us celebrate the 4th of July here in this town. People enjoy coming here and watching our fireworks. The whole eastern end of Burke County come here. Not everybody wants to go to Morganton. I personally don't. And I have known so many people that we're coming to Valdese to see the fireworks. This is a great town. Let's keep it that way. We have great council members. We have great citizens. And I'm very passionate about our town. I miss being able to go to Valdese and walk on the streets. I can't do that where I'm at now. And it breaks my heart to come to Valdese and have to leave. I've actually cried leaving, knowing I can't stay here. Let's keep this a great place to live. And I do say our town employees are the best. They have stopped and spoke to me when I've been at my house and showed concern. The fire department, the police department, public works, they're concerned. They really are. And this was the worst disaster we could ever have faced in this town. But we will get better. We will grow. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Rick McClure.
My name is Rick McClure. I live at 408 Guru Avenue in Valdese. I'm here about transparency. I'll tell you a story about when I applied for town council on Ward 1. At the time I was in Ward 1, I applied, and but before I applied, I called the Council of Governments to find out about the last, when they had the last 10-year, how people move around in town, and found out that they had some numbers had changed in the town, so the wards were going to change a little bit. But at that time, they hadn't changed the ward lineup. And I found out that they had talked to the town about different numbers and stuff. So I applied for Ward 1. And come find out, when I applied, they walked my application through the town hall, and Bo and Seth and the mayor, and they called Larry Johnson, and he was off that day. So they called him in to talk about what they could do about this. So at that time, they didn't need to change the ward lineup until right before they took applications for the next election. So it'd have been okay to leave me in Ward 1 until at that time. But I got a call after I put my application in. I got a call from the mayor a couple of days later, tell me that I couldn't be in Ward 1 because the ward had changed. Well, the ward had not changed yet, and the town had not voted on it. So it appeared to me that there were several people in this town hall that didn't want to even consider me as a ward, in that ward. So they changed me back to Rexana's ward. So the chief of the mayor calls me and said, Rick, you can't be in that because they're going to change the ward. So I told him, I said, I'm not going to give you an answer on that right yet because I'm still in Ward 1. So about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I called him and I said, y'all do what you're going to do. That's transparency, okay? All right, so we had another guy that, when Keith quit, he got off, they put talking about transparency again. They put a guy, they voted him in, but Francis Hillebrand appointed Tim Skidmore. Hadn't even applied yet, hadn't even given him an application yet. They put him in on September the 6th. They got the application September the 7th. Don't shake your head. So I know it's the truth. It's in the minutes. Okay? That's transparency. Also, when they put Tim Boris in, there was another guy that was going to be probably get in there. He was told that day it was going to be voted in, and Rexana said Tim Boris. Now, where all that come from? Tim Boris was a guy who had just moved in town, never lived in Valdese. The other guy had paid taxes on 8 houses all of his life and told he was going to get it. We're talking about transparency. Who's transparent here? They did when Glenn said what he did the other day, he did the same thing as transparency everybody else had done. All the other council people, okay? And then Mr. Lindquist said what he said and got one of the best candidates we've ever had for town council quit. Now, that's the kind of stuff we have. I don't think transparency is part of it. It's basically whoever is the local person that everybody likes. It doesn't have anything to do with what you like. It's the qualifications of the people. The best guy to solve the problem for the fire department and the police department is not there. And it's because Mr. Lindquist and some of the other people that talked like they did.
Thank you. Okay, council. Next is item 6, the consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to have 2 items removed from the consent agenda. That would be A, approval of the regular meeting minutes of October 7, and D, as in dog, approval of ordinance declaring road closures for the town of Valdese 2025 annual events.
Okay, any others? Okay, motion to accept the consent agenda, which will include items B, C, and E, as in Edward.
So move.
Second.
Thank you. Those in favor signify by saying yes and raising your right hand.
Yes.
Yes.
No negative votes. Motion carries. Moving to item 7, new business, and at this time, we will discuss item A from the consent agenda. Councilman Harvey.
I move to amend the October 7, 2024 Town Council minutes by replacing the summary of the police chief's 25-minute presentation with a simple reference to the complete video recording of the presentation that is available on the town's YouTube channel.
Any questions on the motion that's,
I'm sorry?
I asked if anyone had any questions.
So second,
Second.
second, second.
Second.
All right, then I would comment. The reason is the summary does not do justice to the presentation. It was a 25-minute PowerPoint presentation. The summary is only 3 or 4 pages, which is lengthy, but it was not, what is in the minutes is not pertinent to the motion that was on the table and being discussed and debated, and it does not do justice to our town employees in particular, and it doesn't put past employees and past councils in good light by any means. So I think the simplest and cleanest way to handle that is the entire presentation. It was extremely well prepared, was video recorded, and I think that the way to handle that would be really the same way that we handled the public meeting in February 15, 2022, is simply refer to the video recording that is on the town website.
So, we are going to take this detailed presentation by Chief Sharp, and we are going to say, because you, Mr. Harvey, want it taken off the minutes, that it needs to be taken off the minutes. Now, we can obviously all watch any presentation we have on video, so are we making new precedent here as to which ones get to be in the minutes and which ones don't get to be in the minutes?
Excuse me, that is not what I said. What I said was there is just a summary of a portion of that presentation in the minutes. That summary does not do justice to the total presentation that we should do as we did with the public meeting in February 15, 2022, and refer citizens to the entire video presentation. The whole thing is out there. We don't need to pick pieces of it out. That's my suggestion. I mean, it's just much, it's a suggestion. It's a motion to amend it. It's been seconded. Whenever we're done talking about it, let's vote on it, and I'm happy with however the council decides.
I do wish there was a way to share more of what Chief Sharp shared in that presentation, because there was a lot of information there that I think people need to know about our town. So if there is a way that we can all come to an agreement on how we'd like to present that, more people do need to see what was said that night. It was definitely eye-opening.
And I think being in the minutes is a good way to share that information, is that people can read them in the minutes.
Should we add, are you saying like basically we add to, and I guess I'm having trouble understanding fully. Yeah. It would just be adding to it, please refer to the video so people could go view that also.
Well, it's talking about taking away
Okay.
what's in the minutes and replacing it with that. I think the minutes should stand as they are right now with the detail from Chief Sharp's presentation as he presented it and as the minutes now stand.
So I guess keep the minutes like they are, but then add some kind of note in there, please, to encourage people to view. I wouldn't even mind having some of the slides that he shared in the minutes, so we know what we're looking, because people aren't gonna, truthfully, they're not gonna go, a lot of them won't go look at the video, but if we had some slides in there that really were more in depth about what he was speaking about, it's important that we are taking care. That was in our strategic plan, and I will go back to this like crazy in the next few weeks. Number one was that we take care of our public safety departments.
Yes,
It was
ma'am.
police and fire are first. We have moved them out of their home. It is not safe as a town right now to have our police having to go back and forth, having to have our fire department in 2 different buildings. I want to see that done, just like our town said. We want to see the public safety buildings done first. So I'm just saying, anything we can do to help them. Strategic plan, everybody vote, everybody had a chance to let their voice be heard. That's number one. So anything we can do to show a little more light on what our police are going through it's important to me, so.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay, any questions on the motion? The motion that stands, and you correct me if I'm going astray, Mr. Harvey.
Maybe have a roll call vote, please.
Sir?
A roll call vote, please.
Okay. Does everybody understand the motion?
No, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm-
Could you explain to Councilman Noble what you want to do again?
Yes, simply to refer to the full video presentation in the minutes of the October 7 meeting, rather than truncating it and trying to boil it down. It was not a word by word, it was not a verbatim transcript that's in the minutes. It's a summary. Frankly, it has some mistakes in it, it has some typos in it. So I thought the simplest solution was to simply refer people to the entire video recording where they can see the presentation with their own eyes and hear it in the chief's own words. That's it.
So the minutes won't change, you'll just be adding to the minutes, is that correct?
No, the minutes will change. He
How will
will
they change?
This will go out of the minutes. His presentation will go out of the minutes, what it currently says, and will be replaced with that sentence.
We have a semantics problem. The presentation is not in the minutes. We're talking about a very truncated summary of it.
The description.
And if there are things in it that are mistaken, I personally think we should table this until our next council meeting to make sure if there are mistakes in it, that those are corrected, and we can't possibly sit here and go through word by word right now of what was said. Is that possible to do that, so we're not going back? I mean, if there are mistakes in it, I would like to know what the mistakes are before I.
Go ahead, Jim.
Yeah, so you could make a motion to table, and that would take precedence over the pending motion. So you would need a motion and a second to table, and then you would vote on that.
I would like to table it till the next council meeting so we could see what exactly the mistakes are.
Yeah, I would second that.
Okay, any questions? Those in favor of tabling this item until the December meeting, signify by saying yes and raising your right hand.
Yes.
Okay, 2. Those, I guess we vote on this motion that's on the table now. Are those against, let me back up, I apologize. Those who vote no to table it until the December meeting, signify by saying no and raising your right hand.
No.
No.
Okay, so Mr. Mayor, I believe the rules would establish that if you have a tie, that you would vote to break the tie.
I vote not to table it, to move forward.
So now you'll go back to Mr.
The
Harvey's
original,
motion.
Mr. Harvey's original motion, and I want to make sure that everyone understands what he wants to do, Councilman Ogle.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Any further discussion? Glenn,
Roll call vote, please.
we'll signify our vote by roll call. And I'll start off with Ward 2. If in favor, yeah. Ward 3, I apologize. Those in favor of changing the minutes, removing the summary of Chief Sharp's presentation and replacing it with a sentence that says something similar to, look at the YouTube video.
All right, I vote no.
Okay? Councilman Harvey.
Yes.
Councilman Ogle.
No.
No.
Councilwoman. Okay. I have 1 yes and 3 noes. The motion fails.
I would like to make a motion following that we do add, however, to the minutes, or that we add to the minutes the slide presentation, and that we add some type of way that people know that they need to go check that out on YouTube, because it was a pretty powerful.
Could we put, and I'm at.
I don't know how to put that in a
Is
motion.
that,
That's like-
is that not on our minutes every month that we're live streamed? It's on our minutes every month
Okay.
that we're live
I
streamed.
just was hoping people would make the connection to really go check. I will make sure that people go check that out, because it's important that they do that. But yeah, his slide, I do feel like the slides need to somehow be included.
So Madam Clerk, are the slides included in the current minutes?
They are included, okay, making sure that was not, okay.
Okay.
So we will still need, have you made a motion?
Well, I
or-
was seeing how that would go, I was making sure that the slides were in there.
So no motion?
No motion at this time.
Okay, so we will still need to vote on approval of the minutes in some form.
Yes. I'll need a motion to approve the minutes from the October 7th, 2024 regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Those in favor signify by saying yes and raising your right hand.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, council. Okay. Item D, under consent agenda. Excuse me, approval of ordinance declaring road closures for the town of Valdese 20 25 annual events. Mr. Harvey.
Yes, item 6D, the ordinance regarding street closures. It refers to several annual meetings. Back in June of this year, heard some complaints from town restaurants that the town of Valdese closed on July 4th, and the residents of Valdese had to go to Morganton and Aurora and other places to celebrate July 4th, which cost them one of their high receipts days of the year. I've heard that some citizens think that it would be nice when their kids are home, well, they're home from school in July 4th normally, but on Independence Day, that a lot of employees who are working have the day off, and there was nothing to do in Valdese. The town had basically rolled up the streets. So I started asking, what are we going to do in 2025? And especially in 2025, I was concerned because July 4th is on Friday. Normally, we've been celebrating Independence Day on Fridays. Recently, in the last few years, it has not been on July 4. The Friday hasn't, but next year, July 4 will be on Friday. So, I'm wondering, when are we going to celebrate July 4th in 2025? And I'm kind of looking ahead at 2026. July 4th will be on Saturday. I know that the state employee holiday schedule has July 4th as a paid holiday, and next year it has July 3rd as a paid holiday, which would be the Friday. So, at any rate, I was looking for the answer. What are we going to do next year? And we found the answer on the consent agenda with the street closures that we received about noon on Friday. So I didn't have much time to prepare for this. But as I told the council members on Saturday, if we hear, basically, if the other council members want to do something else, that's fine. But I think if we don't have any better information about why we're going to celebrate Independence Day a week early next year, that I would then I would then move that we postpone action on this until we could have a council-approved independent study done, where we ask citizens and merchants and veterans groups where they think we ought to celebrate Independence Day. Should we do it on June 27th, or should we do it on July 4th? So that's where I stand. I mean, if somebody has another motion, I hope they'll make it. Otherwise, hearing nothing else, I'll make a motion that we defer action on this. I'd like to hear from the other council members.
So you made a motion that we defer, so I'll second so we can have discussion. I was looking back at the minutes. July 4th is a big day for me. I am a super patriot. I am a mama bear, patriot mama. So it's a big deal for me. It has bothered me for years that we don't celebrate the 4th any more than we do on the 4th. But I've been kind of like, okay, I understand it saves us money if we do it on the Fridays. However, in 2013 is when the first discussions came up about us doing the Friday. It was along with the Friday family night. And we began to do our 4th of July or firework night at the same time. 2014, though, was the last time that we had a 4th of July on a Friday. So that's 10 years ago, was the last time this town celebrated the 4th of July on the 4th of July. I think it's kind of sad that we would consider keeping on this path of never celebrating the 4th of July when it's actually happening. I want my kids to celebrate this country and how great this country is. I'm tired of our country being bashed. And if there's ever been a time in my life where I wanted Americans to have pride and my town to have pride in the United States of America, it is right now. And I know I sound like I'm running for Senate, but I'm just saying, I really, really would love to see us celebrate the 4th of July next year on the actual 4th. It's a once in every 10-year deal for us to even have that. It's not like we're not asking, this is a good compromise if you ask me. We're not asking the employees to work every single 4th of July. It's 10 years ago, the last time we asked. The citizens have been asking that we celebrate the 4th of July on the correct date. So this is one time that the staff and the citizens could come together, work together, make it one big blowout celebration. The 4th of July, it's been 10 years since we celebrated in our town. Let's make it huge. Let's make it the biggest that we've ever had, and just let's celebrate. And let's make sure our citizens are being heard, and our staff, they will be compensated for their time more than usual. And most people do have to work the 4th. I have to work the 4th. There's a lot of people who do, so it's not an uncommon thing. I would love to see us do that. And it's 10 years since we did it last. Can we come together with that? So I know we got to respond to your motion first, but I have one to make after that.
Is that a motion?
Well, I'm waiting on we have to clarify your
We need to
motion.
address yours
I'm sorry?
first. We need to address yours first.
I didn't make a motion. I want to wait and hear, I want to hear
Oh.
from other council members.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I would just say, and I'm fine with us studying this. I do want us to look at cost, because cost of fireworks usually are much more expensive on the 4th. Maybe somebody pays for that for us. I don't know. I know that it's time and a half for all of our employees, and other things as far as getting the REACT group. I think they usually, that direct traffic, they will be tied up with Morganton. So I think there's some things we just need to think it out, since this isn't something that we've done in the past. So I'm for, let's study it and get some figures, before we jump right into this. Just make sure that we have the funding and what this funding may cost us if we do make the change.
And I'm just curious, because in the minutes from 2013 and 2014, it was stated that we had to know at this point in time what would be happening next year. So has that already been locked down? Have we already said that, have we already made contracts with people saying that we're doing the fireworks on the 27th? Are we already locked into that date?
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, just a point of order, please. We're discussing this item. There's lots more that could be said, probably. I have a couple points myself, but I think if we're going to discuss it and debate it, we ought to have a motion and a second.
I believe we do. I understood you to make a motion to
No, I
table.
didn't make a motion.
And Heather
Pretty much.
seconded
Yep.
it. That's what I thought.
Yep.
I didn't make a motion.
Yes, sir.
Well, I certainly heard a second down there
Yeah,
on a
I did
motion to
too.
table, and I understood you to make a motion.
A
So it's-
motion to defer this until the
Yes.
next
Yeah.
meeting
so
after
that
we
it could
have
be
some-
studied.
What was the motion? I'm sorry.
A motion to table this item so that it could be studied,
Studied,
and then we had a second.
Oh, I did not make that motion. I'm sorry. What I said was that I'd like to hear from other council members, and if nobody has any other motion to make, that I would offer that, but I didn't offer that motion. I wanted to hear from other council members, because as we have all heard, Harvey does all the talking. Harvey makes all the decisions. That's not my decision. I simply am throwing this out. Yeah, I'd like to hear from other council members. If somebody wants to make a motion, please do it. If not, but I'm not taking ownership of that motion I didn't make. I'm sorry. If somebody seconded it, I hope they'll take it back, because there's no motion to second.
Okay, so there's no motion on the table. What do you want to do with item D that you removed from the consent agenda?
I wanna hear whether, go down the road. Does Councilwoman Lohman wish to make a motion? Does Councilwoman Ward wish to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion that we have the 4th of July in 2025 on Friday, July 4th.
I'll second that motion.
Do we have a motion or second? Good.
Any further discussion? Those in favor signify by saying yes and raising your right hand.
Yes.
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 Motion carries. I will ask the manager to have some financial figures for us at the December meeting, please, so we know what we're getting into. Thank you. Okay.
We have just one tiny point there. We really didn't get into discussion here, but that budget would be in the next fiscal year, so that'll be in the 2026 fiscal year budget to be taken up next year.
That's correct. New business.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to add Ward 2 vacancy to the new business agenda.
Would you please restate that, please?
I would like to add the Ward 2 vacancy to the new business agenda.
Okay. Okay, y'all hear that? Okay, I'll need, I have a motion on the floor, I need a second.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Those in favor signify by raising your right hand saying yes.
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 Okay, motion carries. We'll go in to discuss your motion.
I would like to move that we authorize the manager to solicit nominations and applications from the community for the vacant Ward 2 Town Council seat so that we can consider all interested qualified applicants for the position.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion.
Excuse me, a point of order here. We had a motion to put this on the agenda.
And
Are
then-
we taking that item immediately now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Not gonna take it in order?
I'm not sure if I understand your question. Ask your question.
My question is, we just added this item to the new business agenda,
Yes.
right? We have items A through F on the new business item agenda now. This would be item G. So we just took a motion for this item G. It seems to me that's out of order. Shouldn't we do A through F first?
Well, I don't think that there's necessarily a rule on that, and I think your chair has called this motion to the floor, and
Okay.
now we have a new motion.
All right.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, hearing none. Those in favor?
Excuse me. You asked for discussion?
And nobody said anything.
Let's repeat the motion, please. What is the motion?
I move that we authorize the manager to solicit nominations and applications from the community for the vacant Ward 2 Town Council seat so that we can consider all interested qualified applicants for the position.
All right, I'll have a couple questions about that, if I may. Is that all we're gonna ask for is applications? Are we gonna ask for resumes this time?
Applications.
Just applications? All right, we're asking for just applications. Are we putting a time element on this? Do we close it off at the December meeting? Or how much time do we allow? Or do we close it off as soon as we get one application? I think I think we're required to consider the applicants in open session. So let's decide how we're gonna do that. I'd like some clarification on that.
So in the past, was a resume required? I'm not sure about how that was done in the past. Was it just the application, or did we require a resume?
It has been done with a resume as well.
I'd like to know, is there a procedure? I mean, what is the procedure? Is there something in writing that we've got to do that?
No,
Okay?
no,
Seems to me like we ought to establish that first
yes.
before we do anything.
Well, we have an application that we have used.
For town council
Yeah,
members.
because we used one for Mr. Hefner,
Okay.
okay? So we have an application, and I agree with Mr. Harvey, we should put a time limit on it.
That's what I'm asking you.
Yeah.
You see, and the reason let me explain why I'm asking this. In 2022, there was a vacancy, and there was a process announced that the process would require an application and a resume. And then, about a week before the September meeting, an application was received. The council members then interviewed that applicant in private. So I had a kind of a question about that. No, that's
Right.
that doesn't sound like an open consideration, open session.
In groups of
And
two,
then,
groups of two.
And then they only had one applicant, and they made the appointment, but the resume that was required was not submitted until after the appointment was made. So, you see, that kicked off a whole series of issues, which the second appointment, Mr. McClure earlier alluded to part of that problem, and that was only part of the problem. The second time, it stretched out until there were 8 applicants. 2 were disqualified. It was announced from up here that it got down to 6, and they were all contacted, and 5 of them were interviewed. That was not true. 1 of them was not contacted. That was me, and I'll put a challenge out there. I'll stand up here, swear on a stack of Bibles that nobody contacted me, nobody ever attempted to interview me. And when that motion was made, the statement was made inviting all of the applicants to consider filing for election. So I filed for election in 2023, along with Councilwoman Ward and Councilman Ogle. And as most people in town will say, it was one of the nastiest campaigns that ever happened. And it's unfortunate because hate flowed, and hate continues to flow. At that January meeting, when the Ward 1 representative was sworn in, I stood up here, I congratulated him. That's in the minutes. I congratulated him on his appointment in January of 2023. That was historic because that's the last congratulations that somebody who was passed over made to somebody who was appointed or elected. So, and the hate continues. I mean, the two of the council members who lost the election in 2023 have come in and expressed their anger. One of them once, the other one 2 or 3 times. Some of their so-called backers have
Councilman Harvey, we need to,
expressed action.
point of order, we need to get back
I'm
to what
sorry?
the point of order, we need to get back to what we were discussing.
Okay, let's go. But
So
And I will
point
say
of order
this.
is, what's the process?
Well,
Let me-
so what I'm hearing is, we have a motion, we have a second, we've had discussion. I've heard 2 things come up, and there can be a motion to amend the pending motion, to add the resume requirement and to hold the application process open for a period of time. So whatever you all think is appropriate, 30 days, then someone can move to amend the motion to add those 2 criteria.
I'd like to hear Councilwoman Longman's recommendation again. Motion, please.
Okay, my motion is that I move to authorize the manager to solicit nominations and applications from the community for the vacant Ward 2 Town Council seat so that we can consider all interested qualified applicants for the position.
Okay, we're going to put resumes in there, applications and
Well,
resumes.
if we want to amend that, you can do that.
Amend
Yes.
the motion to include a resume.
Yes, I'd like to amend the motion to include a resume.
For recommended timeframe.
And I would like to amend it to say December 2nd. That way
Okay.
we also have November 18th to talk about things, and then December
We doing
2nd.
one amendment at a time here, or is that?
Yes.
Is that fine?
The first thing we're gonna vote on is Ms. Lawman's, then
Gotcha.
Councilman Ogles. Unless we do it all at one time.
I think what we'll take first is the motion to amend to add the application process, or the resume process.
Okay? Okay?
Do we have a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay.
Okay. Those in favor of adding a resume to the application process signify by saying yes and raising their right hand.
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And now we will need a second on the motion to extend the application process to December 2nd.
Second.
Okay.
So we have a second.
Okay?
Yeah, I have a problem with December 2nd. That's less than a month from now. Is that gonna give time for people to submit an application and a resume? And what if we don't get any? What if we only get one? Is the process closed then, or should we instead keep it open until we get more than one applicant? Or keep it open until we get an applicant even? I'm just concerned about how this is gonna play out.
Well, I know, you've got Thanksgiving coming up. Certainly, people are gonna take time off there. Our next meeting is December the 2nd, formal meeting.
Right.
That's gonna be cutting it pretty close, I think. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe the first meeting in January. I don't know what the date of that is.
I
That
think
would
that's-
give everybody a little bit more time.
Okay.
I think that's reasonable.
Okay. So when is that meeting? And I'll amend my amendment.
I mean, is that,
I think that you'll need to vote on the amendment, the motion on the floor, because I don't think you
Okay.
can amend an amended
I
motion.
was-
So,
Thank you for your help with
Sure.
this.
so we'll vote on this, and then if someone would like to make a new motion to amend, we can do that.
Okay.
Okay. I have a motion on the floor to set December 2nd as the cutoff date for applications. Those in favor of that motion signify by saying yes and raising your right hand. Okay? Those opposed to that motion signify by raising your right hand and saying no.
No.
Motion fails. Madam,
Okay. So did we find out when the January meeting is?
should be January 6th.
January 6th. Okay.
okay, I would like to make a motion that we leave application resumes open for Ward 2 until January the 6th.
Okay,
I second that.
thank you. Any discussion? Those in favor of January 6th being the cutoff day for applications and resumes signify by saying yes and raising your right hand.
Yes.
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 Seeing none opposed, motion carries.
So now you'll need to come back to the motion as amended and vote on that. All those motions
Yes.
did were to amend the initial
The
motion.
initial motion.
Yes.
Which was Councilwoman Lawman's motion to accept applications for the open Ward 2 position. I have a motion, I have a second. Those in favor signify by saying yes and raising your right hand.
What is the motion, please?
My original motion to have application.
It'll be the original motion, including the resume requirement as amended, and including a deadline of January 6th.
Okay, those in favor of that motion, please raise your right hand and signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Motion carries, seeing none opposed. That was difficult.
I don't know who Robert was, but his rules are not fun.
I certainly agree with you. Okay. New business, item A, proclamation for Burke County, North Carolina Nonprofit Day, AKA One Burke Gives. Is there anyone here from that organization? Okay, very good. I'll come down there.
Two of us. I know.
After I read this, then I'll let you make your comments.
Okay.
if that's okay.
All right.
And I need to stand in front of that.
Absolutely.
You and I are about the same height.
We
so.
are.
Okay, proclamation, Burke County, North Carolina, Nonprofit Day, AKA One Burke Gives. Whereas charitable nonprofit organizations throughout Burke County save taxpayers thousands of dollars through their services and contribute significantly to the high quality of life for all citizens. And whereas these organizations are committed to serving the educational, cultural, civic, health, religious, human and animal services, recreational, philanthropic, environmental, and other diverse needs of Burke County. And whereas the staff and the volunteers of all Burke County nonprofit organizations are dedicated to upholding the highest standards of community service, donating their time and effort to making a difference in the lives of others. And whereas Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024, in observance of Burke County, North Carolina Nonprofit Day, aka One Burke Gives, provides a unique opportunity for the citizens of Burke County to join together in appreciation and support of the many contributions made by nonprofit organizations to our continued well-being while boosting awareness for continued growth. Now therefore, I, Charles Watts, Mayor of the town of Valdese, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024, as Burke County, North Carolina Nonprofit Day, aka One Burke Gives, and encourage all citizens to organize the positive impact nonprofit organizations have on the quality of life of the citizens of Burke County. Signed this day, November 4th, 2024. Thank you for what you do. Thank you, ma'am. And you have the floor.
All right, thank you. Hello, I'm Sherry Watts. I'm a CPA partner in Morganton with Davidson Highland Whitesell, and I'm also the treasurer for the Burke County United Way. And we're excited to celebrate the 5th annual One Burke Gives Giving Day on Tuesday, December 3rd, 2024. This 24-hour Giving Day event is hosted online at oneburkegives.org and is dedicated to supporting nonprofits throughout Burke County. Our first Giving Day was in 2020 as a response to COVID, to provide a convenient way for donors to give and nonprofits to fundraise. And since that year, Burke County municipalities have graciously joined us each year by officially proclaiming Giving Day as Burke Nonprofits Day, also known as One Burke Gives Giving Day. It's been incredible to see our community rally around this tradition, which is not only a tradition in our county, but also celebrated worldwide as Giving Tuesday, always held the Tuesday after Thanksgiving.
And my name is Sarah Christ. I'm the Board of Directors for United Way in Burke County. Each year, Burke County United Way sponsors the online platform and allows any 501c3 nonprofit in Burke County to participate for free and to fundraise and connect with donors. On average, around 30 nonprofits have taken part annually, and together with community support, we've raised over $100,000 in just one day. So especially in the wake of recent challenges from the hurricane, it's more important than ever to come together to strengthen our community and uplift one another. This year, we will have some in-person events happening on the day, apart from the online giving. To learn more and see what nonprofits are participating, you can go to oneburkegives.org. That's the number 1, Burke Gives. We look forward to seeing everyone virtually or in person on One Burke Gives Giving Day. Thank you, and not sure if we can take questions, but if you have questions, feel free to ask.
Council, any questions? Seeing none. Ladies, thank you for what you do. I appreciate you. Okay, Mr. Manager, would you clarify the question on the budget for the July 4th stuff, please?
Yeah, so the July 4th activities, they would need to be booked ahead of time. So that actually the upcoming July 4th will be booked out of this year's budget, so it's as a prepaid expense. So that's why we would have to do a budget amendment for this year's budget in order to make that happen. So just want to get everybody a heads up.
Yeah.
I didn't want anybody to get confused on that.
Thank
Okay.
you. I appreciate it. Thank you both. Okay, council, item B under new business, review of design build approach to 215 Main Street renovation.
Mr. Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
I have talked to many citizens, and they are excited that we purchased the building at 215 Main Street and that we were looking to put a police department on Main Street. And as we have looked to renovate possibly that building versus also building a brand-new public safety building. So at this time, I would like to make a motion that we authorize the manager to issue a request for qualifications for design build of a public safety building in 2 phases. Phase 1 shall consist of the schematic design for comparison of budgetary purposes of, number 1, a police department at 215 East Main Street, Valdese, and number 2, a combined fire and police department at 200 Massell Avenue Southwest, Valdese. In Phase 2, the manager shall present a DBIA contract for either the renovation of a police department at 215 East Main Street or a DBIA contract for construction of a combined fire and police department at 200 Massell Avenue Southwest. The option for the Phase 2 contract shall be based upon the general contractor's professional input of each construction option, as well as the budgetary schematic design completed in Phase 1 for council's consideration. So this will take a look at both areas and give us input with renovating at the 215 East Main Street, and then what the cost would be with design build with a combined fire and police department at the 200 Massell Avenue site that is next to the town hall.
Okay. Do I have a second?
So moved.
Have a second. Discussion.
I think it's good that we see what both are gonna cost, and I think that's what you're after.
Yes, that is what I'm after.
And I think that's very, very good and very good business to look at that. How long are we talking about would be before we can get that, Bo?
So if motion passes, then we'll have it on the December agenda. We'll have to have a criteria statement first, and then right after that, we'd have the RFQ for council to approve, and then after that, we would advertise it.
Further
Motion?
discussion?
Is there a motion?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Those in favor signify by
Well,
saying.
Discussion?
I asked 3 times, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Well, I was
please.
just going to point out that all of the numbers that we've been presented to date are summarized in the agenda, tonight's agenda package. So citizens have it, council members have it, and so the numbers to date are out there, and I have no problem with doing this again. That's fine.
Okay. Anyone else? Those in favor signify by saying yes and raising your right hand.
Yes.
Yes.
Seeing none opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Okay. Item C, 200 Massell Avenue Fire Station status. I think we've probably already addressed that. So, hearing nothing else, we'll move to item D. Consideration of approval of budget amendments presented by Mr. Weichel, sir.
All right, we got 3 amendments tonight. So the first one is Amendment 4-10. So this is in the response to Hurricane Helene storm repairs and damages that we had. So this budget encompasses both utility and general fund. We have a long list of things that happened, but this encompasses overtime that was charged to response, maintenance repairs, and all of these items will be submitted for either FEMA reimbursement or insurance reimbursement. So it's a lengthy process to get that done. We have to, obviously, we got bills coming due now for these expenses, so we have to pay that up front. This is why it's good to have a healthy fund balance to be able to do this, because you're looking at over $700,000.
Yeah,
But
I would like the citizens to know, and this will be recorded otherwise, the total on our expenses as of tonight for Helene is $711,593. $711,593. $593. I'm not used to handling that much money, so I didn't know. And it would be a lot more if FEMA hadn't stepped in and handled our debris the way they're doing it, because then we'd had to pay all those fees to landfill. It's aggravating, I know, for the debris to sit on the street like it has, but we're talking, it would probably cost several more thousands of dollars if we had to handle that ourselves. So, council, any questions on this budget amendment?
So what does the amendment do? Now, precisely, just to clarify, repeat, please. This amendment will do what?
It covers the costs that we had to pay for the storm damages.
And that cost will be covered how?
So these costs will be, once we get all our invoicing and stuff, it's submitted to FEMA and/or insurance to recover these costs.
Okay.
Initially, they'll be paid out of fund balance, initially.
Yeah.
That will go back into fund balance once FEMA pays, is that correct?
And it may take a couple of years to get it back. But,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the point I want to make sure we understand. We're going to dip into our fund to pay for it, but there's some hope we'll get it back.
Right, yep. And interesting, this is 679,000 of that 711 was the utility fund. So our plants, water plant, wastewater plant, are where we had the most damage.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve this budget amendment, please.
So do I just say so moved to you, or do I have to make the motion?
Make the motion.
I make the motion to approve the, do I say the budget amendments?
Number,
Or
it would
how
be
would I say
budget
that?
amendment 4-10.
I'm gonna get good at this by the time I'm done, by George. For budget amendment 4-10, there we go.
Second, please.
Second.
Those in favor signify by raising your right hand and saying yes.
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 Motion carries. Sir.
Okay. All right, so the second budget amendment is 5-10. Also somewhat storm-related, but this is for a generator at Public Works. During the recent emergency response, so our Public Works employees, they're the first ones out there, along with fire and police, clearing roads. We do not have a generator at Public Works, so they were without power, which is important because power is for our pumps for gas and diesel fuel, so we were not able to get that either, which means our vehicles, equipment can't run. So a private company was able to lend us a generator for that time, which helped. But this proposal would be for a towable generator and a used one, so we're not looking at a new one. This is an example, it's not the exact one, but this is an example of what it would look like. The advantage of having a towable or portable unit, it would be able to be used at other locations rather than just a stationary one at Public Works. Public Works is apparently on a different grid than, say, Town Hall, because we got power long before they did. So if one or the other was out, with the right connections in place, we can interchange it. Important to note that this budget amendment is only for the generator itself. So we're still getting quotes on the docking station, the hookups. We just won't be able to pull that information together as quick because we just can't get contractors out there quick enough. So this will at least get us the generator. Hopefully next month we'll have a number for the docking station and hookup for that.
What size is that, sir?
That is a 56 kW, that one right there. So we're looking at either a 56 or 65.
Okay.
Well, what that will do is it'll run everything at Public Works except for AC. So it won't run
Except
AC.
for what?
Except for the air conditioning.
Okay.
But it'll run the air conditioning in the offices, but usually they're out working anyways, so I feel that's not as important.
Okay. Any questions, council?
Just like a little more clarification for the council's understanding as well as citizens. Describe for us, please, what the need was. I know we had the storm on Friday, September 27th. I know our Public Works Department was out working hard all that day, and you were keeping the council apprised by text of the status. How did that workflow go the next couple of days, and how did we get hurt by not having the generator? And then the other question I have is, how did it happen? I always thought that police departments had to have backup generator, and I think we learned during Helene that the police department's in the town hall, and it did not have a backup generator. So could you just describe the situation a little bit so everybody understands why we need one, how we got hurt from not having one, and that won't happen again, because we can tow this thing between the public works and the town hall where the police department is.
Yeah, sure. So, like you said, we lost power that Friday morning or Friday afternoon. Public works went down. Most important things are the fuel pumps, because we got to get equipment out on the road. Trucks are on the road. We can't put fuel in the trucks because the gas stations in town were out of power too. So that was the most critical point of having that generator in place. We were able to borrow one from a private company, as I said. The servers and stuff for the police, they are still housed and run off the generator up there. So that's kind of, the police offices are here, but the servers are still up running on that generator. So that was backed up there. Yeah. But you're right, the police department does need a generator whenever we renovate or build a new one. But just to give you a cost perspective, this one with delivery is around $33,000. We priced out a new one, similar model, and it was around $90,000. So this one will last us a long time, or one like this.
You said that was 32,000.
It's gonna, with delivery and stuff, it'll be about 33,000. That's what the budget is.
That's a used generator. How many
Yes.
hours are on it, or?
There's about 6,000 hours on it, and they run for between 35 and 40,000 without any issues.
Okay.
So hopefully we never ever have to get to that point. If we do, we got
I hope
problems.
so.
Yeah.
Anybody else? Motion to approve this budget amendment to purchase the Public Works generator.
So move.
Second.
Thank you. Further discussion? Seeing none, those in favor signify by saying yes and raising your right hand.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, council. Last budget amendment.
All right. So the last one is Amendment 1-30. So this is a water plant filter console controller and programmable logic control upfit. It's a mouthful. So I got a little presentation to go along with this because I just want everybody to understand what it is. This is nothing storm related. This is at the water plant. It's an item that we were going to put in the CIP this year. We thought maybe we can get away with it one more year, try to extend the life. The units are failing on us, so I think we need to take action now. So let me bring this up here. Okay. Okay. So this is quite a quick drawing, and we'll get into some pictures here in a moment. But over here you got the flume. It brings in treated water into the filter basin, which sits inside the plant. From there, it goes through some piping to an effluent valve, and that valve opens and closes and controls how much water goes out to the clear well, and from that clear well, that treated water goes out in the distribution system for drinking water. So the filters right here, this is what they look like inside the plant. You go down the piping, there's your valve, your effluent valve. So as that valve moves, if it's open too much, those filters drop in water and get drained. If it's closed, then the filters fill up with water, and if we can't get it back open, the inside of the plant will flood. So that's the danger that we're facing right now. So there's some cabinets here. There's 4 you see in the picture. There's 6 total cabinets in the plant. Inside and on top of those cabinets, so the top has this little digital interface. So these are the controllers that are failing. The valves are not opening and closing as they should. And these are original parts to the plant, so these are very old. So it would be updated with a touchscreen panel, and then inside those cabinets would be outfitted with PLCs or programmable logic controllers that help control that filter height. So it's important that that height is automatically controlled by those electronics so that it doesn't flood the plant or decrease the water, because then we can't get water out into the system. So to replace those, the budget amendment is for $37,380, and that would fix the problem that we're having with the filters or the valves not being controlled by those units.
Okay.
Hope I explained that right.
Questions,
But any-
council?
Is, I see on here a capital outlay expense. Would that be considered a capital outlay expense under the public, under the water department, I guess you would say?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
So that money's already in there?
No, that's where I would put it once the budget, if the budget gets approved, I would put it in a
Okay.
capital outlay account.
Okay,
Yeah, so it's pulling it from the utility fund balance
okay.
and put it in a capital outlay
So
account.
it will come from utility fund balance?
Yes, sir.
And
Yeah.
not our general fund balance?
Right, because it's at the water plant, so it would be utility related.
Yeah.
Yep, correct.
Okay.
Anyone else? I'll entertain a motion to approve budget amendment number 1-30.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Those in favor signify by raising your right hand and stating yes.
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 Motion carries. Thank you, sir. Okay, item E, lead service line inventory project update. RJ, sir, thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. It's a pleasure to be with you tonight. I know we've had a lot of important things on the agenda. I'll try not to bore everybody to sleep with discussions on federal regulations, but it is related to our drinking water, and it's something that we wanted to make sure that we brought to council's attention as an update on this process. And so everything that happens with our drinking water as far as federal regulations goes pretty much roots itself back into 1974 regulations that are part of the Clean Water Act. And so those have evolved continually over time, and one of the more recent developments in our industry is lead and copper considerations. And so the Environmental Protection Agency has established a rule which is called the lead and copper rule. And so that rule has continued to evolve a little bit over time. And in recent years, one of those developments has been that all publicly owned and regulated water treatment systems, or distribution systems maybe is more appropriate, all of those systems that are regulated by the EPA are required to develop a lead and copper service line inventory. And so the service lines that we're talking about in the subject of this rule are the lines that connect individual homes or businesses or industries from the structure itself out to the main line, which is actually the point of ownership for the town in this case. And so again, everybody here who lives in town pays a water bill. They own their water line in their yard or in their building, in their facility, from the meter to the structure. This rule applies to the entire line to some degree or another, but most importantly to the section which is owned by the town, which would be from the meter back to the street where the main line exists. And so what this rule has made a requirement on all public water systems is that you have to have some idea of your inventory of service lines, because over the years, from the 30s, 40s, 50s, all the way through to 2024, differing types of pipe material had been used to create those service line materials. And in some cases, before lead was known to be a problem in distribution systems, lead was at times used to construct service lines. Those would be in very old, typically, those would be in very old areas, most likely not in the southeast at all. But the rule applies to everyone. And so this process began for the town a little over a year ago as we started applying for funding to help with this inventory. And the town was successful in securing a funding package that included both principal forgiveness and then some loan that would be repayable at 0%. And so the work to start on that actual inventory began about 4 or 5 months ago with desktop efforts. And so there was a lead ban issued in, I believe it was 1986 or 87. And so if through that desktop analysis we could prove that a structure, a house, had been constructed after that lead ban, it automatically qualified as being exempted, or identified in that rule. And so then there are other steps, other methods, other processes to try to help rule out different services throughout the town system to be able to say this is definitively not lead, or this is definitively lead, or this is unknown, or this is a galvanized pipeline material which is not lead, but in the purposes of this rule they treat it like lead. So you've got a lot of details in this rule here, and suffice it to say the inventory process started and the town was required to submit its initial inventory on October the 16th, last month. That process was completed from the desktop analysis, and the initial inventory was submitted to the EPA, actually through the state agency, as required by the rule. The next step in that process is that for each and every one of the town's water accounts that was identified as either unknown in that initial inventory or was identified as galvanized, which would require replacement, even though neither one of those two designations says it is lead, folks have to get a direct notice. So you have to get a notice that is specific to the service address for that account to say, Mrs. So-and-so, Mr. So-and-so, your home, your business, your water service is unknown. And so there's a letter that's going to go out as part of that notice process that is required to go out within 30 days of the initial inventory being submitted. So there's a letter that will go out stating to folks who have unknown status at this point, and then there's a separate letter for those that have been identified as galvanized, which will eventually require replacement. And so in that process, the letter outlines some of these same details that I'm talking to you about now, but it is a complicated enough process that we certainly anticipate town staff and most likely town council members will also receive questions from citizens, and just wanted to make sure that we put as much information out there as we can at this point in time so that there are as few surprises as possible. And so the letter says it in two different locations within the letter itself, but I want to be clear to everybody that the town has been required per the EPA to test for lead and copper constituents in the drinking water for a number of years, well before the lead and copper service line rule became effective. And during all of that time testing for lead itself, the town's never found lead anywhere in the distribution system that they've collected those samples. So the idea of causing alarm for folks because it uses the word like lead in your drinking water is concerning. But just want to kind of reiterate that fact that we've been testing for lead per the rules for a good number of years now, and there's no instances of lead hits, so to speak, in any of those tests. Furthermore, to this point, the desktop analysis has not identified any services in town which are made of lead material, and so that process will continue over the next year, and ultimately. The town has, it's a little over 6,000 total accounts, both in town and out into what used to be the old triple system. And so we've whittled that number down as best we could with the desktop analysis. The additional funding from Division of Water Infrastructure that will come into play will begin a process sometime early next year, let's say, after all the debris is removed from people's homes. That process will begin doing what we call soft digs at as many as many locations as we can get to try to physically verify what service line materials are. And so we want to try to get that number of services that are unknown down as low as possible, because ultimately after October 16th, 2025, that will begin a clock that the EPA mandates for replacement. And at that point, all unknowns will have to be replaced, and all those galvanized would have to be replaced, and any actual lead service lines that would be found would need to be replaced on some semblance of a schedule. And there's a lot of more detail that we could go into if you wanted to on how that happens, but for now, the next step is that public notification letter. And again, just wanted to make sure council was aware that will need to go out in the next week or so, and that those questions that come up, would be related to that letter. But hopefully we've done enough work in the letter to help folks understand what their specific situation will be. And so for folks who do not get a letter, those folks would have an address and a service address that had been identified as something not lead, or specifically excluded, as in we know your service is not going to be lead.
Council, questions?
Just a question too. So this letter will go out to some of our water customers within the next couple of weeks. How will it go to them? Will it be mailed directly to them, or will it be included in the water bill?
Yes, sir. It'll be mailed directly, and it'll be an independent mailing, if I remember correct.
And will some of those be businesses?
They will.
Okay. Would it be possible, I don't want to ask you for the list, but would it be possible for council members to have a copy of the letter before it goes out, and maybe even a little cheat sheet on what questions might come up and how you might respond to them?
Yeah, good question, because you made me think about something that actually I overlooked. There will be a full copy of the entire initial inventory that has to be posted, and it'll be posted here at Town Hall as well for council or anybody else who wants to see the full inventory and those designations. So that's part of the process. We can also, we've already been, kind of going through draft status back and forth with town staff about what exactly the letter says, and so that would certainly be something that the council can get a copy of before it goes out. And so again, there's two different ones. There's a version for galvanized, which eventually requires replacement, and then there's one for unknowns at this point in time.
So I'm just making sure I'm hearing right. So are these the pipes that go from the person's house that they're responsible for?
It splits responsibility. So the line, we'll say, begins at the main, which the town owns, which is out at the street or out at the curb. And then from that point unto the meter, where your meter box sits in your yard, that's town responsibility.
Okay.
And the rule will eventually force the town to replace at least that portion of the line.
Okay.
The portion of that line then from the meter box to the home is the homeowner's responsibility.
And that will be required that they change their pipes? Because I'm wondering how that works for people.
Things get tricky.
Okay.
If the town were to take federal money at that point to replace any of the service line, the rule says that the town will be required to replace all of the service line, including the private customer side.
Because that'll be the question we get mostly from people is how do I afford it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
That would definitely, however, be a deviation from precedent that has long been established in the utility industry, whereby the town replaces up to the meter and reconnects to the service line.
Yeah.
So that would be a decision that staff and the council would have to make at that point in time. Currently, the funding that the town has requested and received is for the inventory only, not replacing anything. And so at this point, all we're required to do is identify both sides. And so when we identify, let's say we find a service line that is particularly identified as lead, then a notice would need to be provided, a second notice would be provided to that homeowner to say, we've now done a specific identification for your property. Yours is lead or yours is galvanized requiring replacement. And so we're going to replace up to the meter. You just need to know that yours after the meter shows that it is the same material, and so it should be replaced. Whether or not anybody can be forced to is not in the rule.
That will be the huge, that I was just making sure, because when they see required, I know that that's gonna be a lot of phone calls, so.
Correct.
Anyone else?
RJ, EPA sends down stuff. Are they gonna help us pay for it?
So there is money within the bipartisan infrastructure legislation, bill is the short term that folks give it, that's where some of this money is coming from for the inventory. And then there is federal money available for the construction side.
Is that grant money? We have to apply for that, or?
You would have to apply for that. It is most likely not grant money. And if you take that money, like I was telling Councilwoman Ward, if you take federal money to replace the service line, then you're gonna have to go all the way to the house. So you'd have to replace from the main to the meter, and then from the meter as close as you could reasonably get to the structure itself, which would be a new decree, if you will. New way of doing business. And there's a whole host of issues there that, unfortunately, if we get to that point,
That's
the
gonna
town's
be a big
considering
one.
that, we're gonna have to talk to Mr. Swanson a good bit about that.
That's gonna be a big one because, there are a lot of old houses in this town that must have galvanized, lines, service lines, and they're deep, some of them, so it's not just replacing a line, it's
Yeah.
excavation.
And the town's ongoing CIP process and the water lines that would eventually be replaced will also serve as a good vehicle for that replacement eventually. So if we schedule a project to replace a piece of water line in a particular street, we'll plan to go ahead and do new services and new meters on those, on those particular areas, and you can count those in the town's regular plan for accomplishing the overall replacement. But suffice it to say that there are a lot of utility systems in the next, I believe it's going to be 8 years, the way that clock will work. There'll be a lot of line replacement has to happen in the next 8 to 10 years.
Thank you,
And so
RJ.
we want to work hard right now with this inventory to try to eliminate as many as possible. In theory, if we could identify every last one, and every last one was known to not be lead, we'd be in pretty good shape there. But that's just not a practical accomplishment.
Anyone else? RJ, thank you, sir. Appreciate
Thank you
your
all.
time. Okay, item F, project updates, pending and ongoing. Mr. Weichel.
You want me to just go down the list then?
Yeah, that'd be
Okay.
fine.
So item 1 under there, it's a Hoyle Creek project. So just a quick update on that one. So several qualified firms have been interviewed for that project. Well, let me backtrack, just to remind you what that project is first. So this is Hoyle Creek, which is along Lake Rodas Drive. The project is funded, fully funded by grant money, $2.2 million. And it's for stream restoration and putting a walkway alongside the road. Because we have a lot of people walking on the road, which is dangerous. So this will hopefully get them on a crushed cinder type path that's in the park already. And it'll go up towards the park. So several qualified firms have been interviewed through the RFQ process, okay? There has been a selection of the most qualified firm. That firm has proposed a contract. We're currently in the negotiation phase of that. So they propose it to us, we're looking at it, we'll say, okay, we'll make this change, that change, mainly, looking at the pricing. So we've got that back to them. The plan is to have that agreement on the December agenda. So hopefully that's my goal, is to have it on there for everybody. The thing about this project is that it's, like I said, it's grant money, it's ARPA funds, which means we have to have those monies spent by the end of 2026. So we're getting down to the wire. We need to get moving on this project. So that's why we're trying to push it along here. what has happened, you know, with contractors and stuff is kind of hurting us on that, but we're gonna keep trugging along as best we can on that.
Okay.
All right, so Love Lady to Lakeside Park Sidewalk Project. So Valdese application for a municipal agreement between the DOT and Valdese is still in process with the DOT's local programs office. The municipal agreement is step one of the administrative process and is required for all federally funded projects. So DOT is the federally designated oversight agency for these federal funds. So just as a reminder, that's a sidewalk going up a Love Lady Road. It's a 80-20 match. And I think our match amount on that was $286,000. So it's that'll be spread out over 3 to 4 years. So it is a reimbursement-based project. We have to front the money. We request reimbursement. They give us 80% back of what we spent. Okay. So once that municipal agreement is provided by DOT back to Valdese, the council will approve that, and then we'll request the funding authorization to the Federal Highway Administration for preliminary engineering and design. So that funding authorization is dependent on the agreement being in place, and we anticipate that somewhere early 2025. The goal was to have that municipal agreement at the December agenda, but because DOT's backed up right now, I don't think it's going to happen. So hopefully we'll get it on the January agenda. And the COG is kind of taking the lead on this. Mr. Johnson and the COG working on this, so we'll be kind of transitioning that. I've kind of gotten involved with it to try to get caught up to speed.
So this is a big project. The town matching responsibility will be 280-some thousand, approaching 300,000. And remind us, please, that sidewalk will let people walk from where to where?
I think it's from the park up to Guardiol, if I have that right. Laurel, okay. Up to Laurel. Thank you, everybody.
From the park to?
Laurel.
Up to Laurel Street.
Whole way to Laurel?
It was a good question. I think so. Maybe not.
It was
I didn't think so, but that's why I was asking to get it clarified, but I don't know.
I'll find out for you. Like I said, I'm just getting a crash course on all this, so.
Any questions? Okay, next one there, sir.
I got the money part down, just the logistics, you know.
You're doing fine.
All right, let's see here. DOT resurfacing, okay. So before I jump into DOT, it's something that I thought about while RJ was up here explaining this lead service line inventory project. He mentioned doing soft digs. Those soft digs are gonna have to happen in our streets because those connections are down in the middle of, somewhere in the middle of the street. So we wanna be careful. We know we've got that project going on. We don't wanna be paving streets over things we're gonna have to be digging up. Unfortunately, we don't know which ones yet we have to be digging up. So we've got 60, out of all our customer water accounts, we've got 60 that we know are galvanized. We have 4,000 some that we labeled as unknown. So as we go through that inventory, we try to whittle that down some. But there's a lot out there that we may have to do some soft digs on. And so I just want to put that out there so that when we're talking about street resurfacing, those two things may clash, okay? But DOT update, about a week or so after the storm came through, I reached out to DOT to see where they were at in their process. The contact that has been assigned for us that I've been dealing with is Mr. Travis Henley. He's a District 13 engineer. So when I reached out to him, October 7th actually, he advised me that he's in Mitchell County addressing significant damage. His connectivity is limited. And then he put in there that moving forward, it may be prudent for the town to explore options such as administering a town contract. He said he mentions this because Western North Carolina will be utilizing Maymead, who is the paving contractor they were going to assign to us. They'll be using Maymead and other resources for a foreseeable future out there. I came to learn later on that they have about $5 billion worth of work out there to do. 700 million of that is for I-40. They got to relocate I-40. So Maymead's their big contractor, and they're going to be sending all their resources out there. So I reached out again last week to Mr. Henley, trying to set up a phone call with him. Gave him my mobile number. He said he'd call me on Tuesday or Wednesday last week. He never called. So I reached out to him again that Thursday morning to follow up. Saturday morning, about 6 in the morning, he emailed me and said, I'm addressing emergency work in Mitchell County and will follow up when time allows. That was my last communication with him. DOT, they're just so busy with that out there that we're not very important to them right now. So that's the update I have on that project. We may want to follow his advice and, do our own town contract. That's all the information I have for that. Yeah, we do, when, this is a great plan, but once that storm hit, I think it changed everything.
Sounds like we need to hold off anyway till we know where the soft digs are. We'll be getting calls that we've dug up the streets again, so.
Yeah, that wouldn't be very good.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Okay, any questions for Mr. Weichel? If not, move into your manager's report, sir, please.
Okay. So, numerous events are scheduled for the months of November and December. A holiday event calendar has been included in the reading materials for your reference. Please review the calendar for detailed information of upcoming activities. Town offices are closed on November 11th in observance of Veterans Day and November 28th and 29th in observance of Thanksgiving. The next agenda review council meeting is scheduled for Monday, November 18th here at 6 p.m. in the council chambers. And then the next regular council meeting is scheduled for Monday, December 2nd at 6 p.m. here in the council chambers.
Okay. Council, your turn. Comments?
Can you update us where we are on the estate sale that we had, the extra stuff from the police department, and we were getting some information about selling that? Can you give us an update on that?
Okay, so the first step in that plan was to have the police department go through, tag things that they thought they needed to keep for the renovation project or furniture that they needed in the building. So once they did that, myself and Ms. Lael and Chief Sharp went over there. We spent about 4 or 5 hours taking pictures of every item because I want to document and get an inventory of what we had over there. Put all those pictures together. I sent that out to several auction places to see if there was any interest. Foothills Auction said they were not interested. Hevner Auction Company, they came, or no, they viewed the photos and said that he doesn't see anything valuable in there. There was a safe that he said would be valuable, but the police department had already decided that would be useful to them, so we had already tagged that one. Iron Horse Auction Company, they're actually a local company, so he came and, I'm sorry, Hevner is the ones that came to our site and they toured the building and looked at that. And then Auctions Unlimited out of Morganton said they were not interested. So I just say all that to say nobody wanted to do an auction for us or an estate sale. So what we did was we moved everything that the police had tagged out of the building, and then the other items we moved downstairs, and we let local businesses know, we let the merchants committee know that anybody that needed some furniture to come on and get it, because it wasn't valuable at that point. But there could be found some usefulness for that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Does that answer your question?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
Okay.
Anybody else? Questions or comments?
Mr. Mayor, I have a couple topics, but please, if anybody else has comments, why don't you go first so I don't repeat something that someone else may say. Anybody else?
I just want to real quick say how amazing it was to have Patriot Relief to be in Valdese this week, building 30 temporary tractor sheds to be delivered to the mountain regions. They have contact with people who are actually living in tents currently, and they're going to be able to help them out. They actually had a I don't know who the postal carrier was, they wanted to remain anonymous, but somebody actually donated the mailboxes so people could get their FEMA checks and things like that, because you don't think about that. They want you to fill out the papers. Most people don't have service on their cell phones to do that. And then when it comes to receiving the checks, if you don't have a mailbox, you can't do that. It's things we take for granted, like our roads. I am going to be the last one to complain about roads after working with Samaritan's Purse in the last few weeks. If you have not been, I was looking to see, Samaritan's Purse is actually, I believe, extended their operations in Watauga County, it looked like till November 30th. If you have not yet volunteered with them, you should do it. You should witness what has happened for yourself, and not just witness it because you don't want to be a sightseer on this stuff, but get in there, get your hands dirty, and help people. It'll change your perspective. A lot of things that used to matter a lot to me, I just have a lot of spoons. I don't have any spoons left to give about a lot of things, because I have seen what it's like to really be in need. And we are blessed in Valdese. We may have a couple of quirks here and there that we need to work out, but my God, we are blessed. We are not dealing with the destruction that they are. I'm just thankful we still have a town. But Patriot Relief also, if you want to look them up, they're right here helping in Valdese this week. They need some contractors, electricians, other folks. You can actually contact Valdese's own Star Franklin. She is working to head that up with Lee Brown. They are doing a phenomenal job with that. So Patriot Relief and Samaritan's Purse, that's my plug tonight. Go volunteer, go give. Let's keep the mountain folks in our prayers and thoughts. So. That's it.
I just want to pick up on a bit of what Heather, Councilwoman Ward was talking about. Western North Carolina really made national news this year, and probably not as much as the people in Western North Carolina deserve. So my topic is really love. The western part of North Carolina has never known more volunteer-related death and destruction than we did from Hurricane Helene, which roared through here on September 27th. The response from the survivors of Helene across the state, and especially from Catawba County westward, was nothing short of amazing. The outpouring of love for fellow mankind has been unprecedented in thousands of examples showcasing our community's unity and strength in the face of adversity. Hundreds, if not thousands, of Valdese residents have been helping the victims of Helene in numerous ways, from contributions of time and money. The contributions have been made through dozens of local churches and countless nonprofit organizations, some of which many of us never heard of. Many of these operations, such as Samaritan's Purse, Mercy Chefs, Crowdsource, the Cajun Navy, other national agencies, set up base camps in tents up in the mountains and on church campuses north of Asheville and in other communities. They established communications with people out there who had no communication with the world through Starlink, the internet broadband service that was available. And while we've been reading about relief missions in Morganton, Longview, and other neighboring towns, there did not appear to be a Valdese-based event that merited news coverage until this past weekend. And that's the one that Councilwoman Ward mentioned. A nonprofit group of realtors and contractors descended upon Valdese Friday. Approximately 100 volunteers from across North Carolina, South Carolina, and Georgia. They unloaded these 23 buildings and materials to build them up on Church Street. And these buildings are going to house people. I mean, I wish I could share with everybody a message that my daughter sent to me about delivering meals to Swananoa and the despair that she drove past of the people sitting out where their homes used to be, sorting through stuff, tents that they live in. We'll have, Valdese will have been a big part of getting these insulated shelters, complete with generators, refrigerators, mattresses, lights, delivered to these desperate but thankful people. And then the question I have is, are we reading about Valdese's role in this unique relief effort? I don't think so. And that's a sad segue to my closing observation. Valdese employees learned about this project midweek last week. Our police and public works staff immediately jumped in and offered support, so I give a shout out to them and expression of appreciation for providing this support. Otherwise, that was about it. Our town newsletter have not yet informed citizens about this project. I mean, this was a big project. And what about our local news media? Well, last Friday, all the local news media were informed of this program, that it was going to happen Saturday and Sunday. Then the local news media, the McDowell newspaper, the Asheville newspaper, the Charlotte newspaper, Asheville television station, 3 Charlotte television stations, they were all informed. And we have yet to read anything. I've yet to find anything about it. I keep looking for it every day. Some of our news, probably some things that were said here tonight, will hit the headlines of our local news media tonight or tomorrow, but we're still waiting to hear about this wonderful expression of love that has been taking place in Valdese this past weekend. What have we read about in our local newspapers since Friday? Frankly, hate. One of the most hateful emails that the town ever received was published in full, dressed up in format a little bit so it looked somewhat professional, by one of our local newspapers. And it was that very email that caused Roger Hebner to say, when he received, as a council member, when he received that email, he called me and said, I can't handle this. I'm not going to take this kind of hate. He resigned, and that's where we are. So the person who sent that email is the most powerful person in town. That message of hate is determining who can or cannot serve on Valdese Town Council. That's sad, and that's regretful, but meanwhile, all around us, there's so much love and humanity, concern for humanity being demonstrated. How can we build on that? That's the challenge, I think, of all of us. Thank you.
Anyone else? I'd like to thank Councilwoman Lawman and Councilwoman Ward for their multiple trips to the mountains and the supplies and donations that were delivered. That speaks highly of your character, and I certainly appreciate both of you very much. Treats in the streets, probably one of the biggest crowds I've seen this past year. Each year it's like I see more and more adults dressed up. It's pretty neat. I've got my mask on still. Bluegrass concert at the Rock School this Saturday had 400 folks, big crowd, great show. Can't say enough about that. We congratulated Larry Johnson tonight on 45 years of service to the town. To my knowledge, he's the longest serving employee we have ever had. And not just an employee, but he was family, and he done his utmost to take care of the folks of Valdese. So that's why I've named him the Grand Marshal for this year's Christmas parade. And I think he will serve us well. And that's all I have. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
So be it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate it.